Hi, I'm Mark Phillips, and I'm here with my co-host Carole with an E. Hi, Carole. How are you? Hey, we have wine this time, and so well, let me give you some first. Let me help you with that. Mm-hmm. Mm. I know, and I'll have some too. Let me get this out of the way. A little cord right there. Cheers. We have a rosé, as you can tell. Warm day. We're very refreshing. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about the difference between the traditional approach to wine and the progressive approach to wine. Carole comes from the traditional approach, right? Yeah. And she's proud of it. And I started off as a traditionalist and then created the progressive approach to wine. And so we are completely different in our approach to wine. It's kind of like being an atheist and a Christian, or a Republican and Democrat, I guess. Okay, well, she's vegan or meat eater. Yeah. Anyway, different approaches to that particular topic. Doesn't mean we don't like each other, does it? No, no, we're good. We just have to learn, how things work. Uh-oh, something in my eye. Wait, I'm not going to stop the tape because it's just too much work to edit. Okay, so Carole, why don't you take it away first and explain the traditional approach to wine? I'm going to have some wine while you do that. Well, I got to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, since the 1600s, yeah. A long time. Yeah. Well, let me disagree there. I do believe the traditional approach does give order to wine, uh, but I don't believe, well, who decides what good wine is? And in the traditional approach, I think that there are the elite, I call them the club members, like country club members, that once you learn enough or get some amount of certifications, sommelier certification, master of wine, something like that, you're a writer for a publication, that now you're dictating what good wine is. Do you agree with that assessment? Well, see, I don't think that's okay. I guess you do, but well, I think that people can figure out what wine to buy without that. I understand that. If you don't know much about wine and you go into a store and you see ratings, 90-point wine, that's some information that you wouldn't otherwise have in other wines. And that sounds good, 90 points, that should be an A. But I don't believe that's right. Yes, they do know more than that person, the buyer, but they don't know what that person's preferences are. And so, I mean, would you go into a store? Let me pose this to you. If you went into a music store, like we do that anymore, but when we did, and when there were albums or CDs, or even if you're buying it online, but just say a store, a music store, back when they existed, would you go in and ask the salesperson, hey, I'm looking for a really good song or a good album. I want to get one that's 90 points or higher. Right? Yeah, we would never think about rating music by a point system, or even art by a point system. Well, look at that painting. That's at least 93 points. No, because music and art are all subjective. And so it's just crazy. I mean, I think music is the best analogy. We don't rate music because what someone loves, other people just can't stand, just like with wine. Well, I understand that the experts taste more wine, they understand wine better, and they can recognize, yeah. Yeah, the complexity or the components of wine that a lot of people couldn't recognize. Yeah, and that's true too. I mean, if they know how to handle the wine better, let it, how long to let it breathe, how to store it to maximize its potential and stuff. But just because you or any expert says a wine's good, what if I don't like it? Does that mean that? And that's the problem with the traditional approach. When you guys, you club members, as I'm going to call you guys, rate a wine, and then someone tries it and knows it's a highly rated wine, 94 points, woo, really good, and they don't like it, uh-oh. Now what do they say? Because they hate to say they don't like it, because then they would seem unsophisticated. Yeah, ignorant, something. And that's the problem with the traditional approach. It's a top-down, the experts telling the less knowledgeable people what to drink, what's good. Well, I think that's lip service. I don't think you really believe that drink whatever you like. I've heard so many other people, traditionalists like you, say that, but in your mind, if you saw someone drinking white Zinfandel, would you be okay with that? Is that good wine? That's right. You're gonna that well. Well, that's not really being okay with it. Saying, you know, you can drink that, but that's always what you guys say. But let me share with you some better options instead of white Zinfandel. Let me help you become more sophisticated in your palate. And that's what you say. Well, I know you want to help them. I get that. And that's nice. If they'd ask you, I mean, you know, no one really wants to be helped without asking, you know, kind of forcing. And I think that's what the traditionalists do. They say, here's what good wine is. And you know how you do it. You know, if you're, whether you say it out loud or not, if someone's not using the right glassware or holds the glass improperly or has it, you know, whatever, drinks out of the paper cup or something, or, you know, whatever, matching the wrong wine and food, or not putting ice cubes in wine, for instance. A huge one for you guys. You know, I have a DVD of my show that I had on PBS on, oh no, it's not on Amazon anymore. Well, it's on winetasting.org, my website, called Ice Cubes in Wine. Just to make a point is, you do whatever you want to do, but to you all, you just would shudder, thinking how what a huge wine violation that is. And well, I see, that's, I just can't agree with you. Just because you or other experts say you shouldn't put ice cubes in wine, well, I wouldn't say who are you to say, or any other expert. If someone likes that, shouldn't they be able to do that? Shouldn't they be able to listen to any song they want to, loud or soft, or out of cheap speakers, you know, like a transistor, you know, what? As long as they're enjoying it, I think it's important. Well, I know people need help. And the point system for buying wine is something that people do fall back on when they're trying. I'm just going to, you want, I know. We'll be talking this whole time and we'll never, do you like it? I do too. It's, I think it's Chateau Ste. Michelle. You know, like $8 a bottle. So you go into a store, and if you don't know anything, I mean, you look at all the labels, there's a zillion wines. What do you do if they have points, little shelf text with points on them? Would you say that the best way to go is to find a highly rated wine to buy it if they don't know, they're going for a Cabernet, let's say, Cabernet Sauvignon. They look at all the Cabernets, and that if they choose a 90-point plus wine, the odds are they'll like it. Yeah, no way. No way. And I'll tell you why. I've been teaching wine for 30 years. Well, not quite. Close to 30 years. 25 plus for sure. And I've done hundreds of tastings with thousands of people. Literally. Tens of thousands, I could say. And I would put in a blind tasting because that's how you really know. There's no self-fulfilling prophecy going on there. Highly rated wines and box wine or jug wine. And a blind tasting. All the same. Like all Pinot Noirs or all Chardonnays, whatever. And people taste them. And over 90% of the time of those tastings, the people preferred the cheap wine instead of the highly rated wine. Over 90%, probably 95% of the time. Even people, see, the wines are making me burp. Even people who know a lot about wine and think they're experts, they prefer the inexpensive wine. So that's the point. The ratings are not a good guide to go by to buy wine because, first of all, experts have a very different palate than you and I, right? I mean, you're not going to drink inexpensive wine or box wine or, Merlot, like in the movie Sideways. I'm not going to have any F in Merlot. You drink different types of wines. You're looking for something that's much more complex and stuff. Is that right? Yeah? Okay. And that's good. I'm good with that. But a lot of people aren't. They're just going for something really simple and something easy to drink. And so a wine that probably you would say is unacceptable. Or, that you wouldn't have it. And you would rate it probably not very highly. Is that fair to say? I think so, yeah. And so that's why would you go into a music shop and talk to a guy who loves bluegrass and ask him for his recommendation for a classical album? Because you're on different wavelengths about what you like. And so what experts like is not generally what regular folks like. So that's why I just don't think it's the way to go. I don't think, well, that's a good question. I mean, you have to have some guide to go by. And you'd have to ask the salesperson and tell them what you like. And hopefully they have enough knowledge about the wines at the shop that they could give you some idea. Or just, otherwise, you're right. I mean, a lot of places have tastings. I mean, you go to wine festivals or even in-store tastings in different parts of the United States. The stores will, on a Saturday afternoon or whatever, have tastings, and that's the best time to try it before you buy it. So that's the ideal way to do it. Otherwise, yeah, you just take a stab at it. And maybe but try to go as many tastings as possible and then make notes that this is the wine I like to remember. I think that's the way to go. What do you think? You want some more? I know I do. You are just... How much can you have before you get tipsy? Well, that's pretty good. More than most women. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say that. Is that a sexist comment? More than most women? I think it's fair to say that women generally would get tipsy faster on the same amount of wine than men because of body weight. That's not sexist, is it? I think that's pretty well proven. Body weight makes a difference. Okay, I just don't want to offend anyone. Everyone gets so offended these days. So basically, just to review, the traditional approach, and I guess we didn't really do what I was hoping that she would explain everything. Well, I interrupted, and it's back and forth, and that's fine. The traditional approach, tell me if I'm wrong, is when there are good wine is absolute. That's really pretty much experts rate a wine as being good. And then if you don't like it, well, you got to live with the guilt or the shame that you don't like a wine that the experts like. And that's awful feeling when you get intimidated or embarrassed to say and stuff. I mean, when I go over to someone's home and they know that I'm a wine expert, right away they kind of cower and everything. Oh my God, you'll probably not like any of the wine we have, all that kind of stuff. They're always embarrassed from running a wine expert because of the traditional approach to wine. Now, it's true, if a chef came over to your house and you were making dinner, you might be a little bit more nervous. Yeah, I guess. But still, I just don't think wine should be that way. So the traditional approach is where good wine's absolute. Experts, and white Zinfandel is not good wine. No expert would say so. Or, certain inexpensive wines are just not good. They're not. And if you drink them, they look down on you for that. And and you can't put ice cubes in wine. You have to follow all the rituals about wine to do that. And the only way you can be in the club, and when you go to a wine tasting, and there are club members, the experts, who are doing, all the swirling, of course, we'll talk about this. And of course, they wouldn't hold it by the stem. They would hold it by the base usually. This is hard with that microphone. Yeah, that's a sign of a real snob right there, the base. We'll talk about it in another episode. But if you walk up and you're drinking lousy wine, they'll exclude you. I mean, they'll just... I shouldn't be speaking for you. You can just say that. You'll exclude them. Because that happens. You don't want to hang out with them. And especially when they would come over like to your home and you're going to serve expensive wine. You never want to invite someone who doesn't really understand wine to drink your expensive wine because they won't appreciate it. It's like you're pouring it down the drain. You're giving, what's that pig thing? Well, I'm talking pearls to swine, something like that. And that's, yeah. I was on a TV show. Do you mind if I just get a little story? Make it this way. I was on the TV show, I don't know what the name of the show was, a conservative talk show host, I think is Armstrong Williams. I think it's his name. Conservative talk show host. And he invited me on as an expert, and he said, bring a friend, another expert with you. Just, we can have a little more conversation. And I brought another expert, Ron. And so the question, so Armstrong Williams does not drink. And I thought, he's going to set me up and blast us for drinking. But no, he's a very nice guy. He's got a huge wine cellar at home. He loves to entertain and serve wine to all of his guests. He just doesn't drink. Isn't that interesting? And he never invited me over. So I'm available for anyone who has a lot of wine at home and they can't get through it all. Just ring me up. I'm mobile. So Armstrong, at the end of the show, he asked Ron and myself, if you have a really nice wine, who do you want to share it with? And it was so funny because Ron and I, we didn't know the question was coming. And so Ron and I haven't talked about it. But simultaneously, Ron and I said, no one. Because when you find a wine that you really love, it's really a downer to have it with someone who doesn't appreciate it. You think, So it happens so often that we just know, just better have it on your own. And that way, how would you answer that question? Yeah, the same. Well, you're probably more social than me, but, well, that's the point. Yes. So alone, but with your other friends that you know who would appreciate, you feel would. You would take more of a gamble that think, well, you would know they're tasting wine. That would be a good thing. Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, if you join a club, I mean, there are wine clubs, and they're wine clubs for specific types of wine that you can join. So you know that everyone's going to like that kind of wine. Listen, you don't mind if I'm just going to, here, do you mind if I just, here, well, here, no, just add a little bit more. And then and then we'll just, I'll just pour a little bit. I don't want to drink out of we probably know each other, so let's not do that. I won't drink out of your glass, and I know you won't take your wine from you. So traditional approach, absolute stuff. The only way you can be in their club, if you're not an expert, is to drink the wine they like and do all the rituals, and then you can be one of them. Be in the club. And of course, the progressive approach is just approach. The progressive approach is just, well, the opposite, but certainly different. That any wine is good. If you like it, that's good. The heck with the experts that we mentioned for episode 1. Do whatever you want. Put ice cubes in wine. Drink it off a styrofoam cup. So what I've done on the PBS show and in my book is I don't care what wine you drink. I don't. I will never try to upgrade you. What I will do, though, in the book is all about that, is whatever wine you drink, I'm going to tell you how to enjoy it better. Because there are things you can do to make the wine you have, how you store it, the temperature you serve it at, different things will make the wine, what kind of food to have with it. I'm not saying, and I'm against this too, and all the traditionalists are always putting certain wine and food combinations. I do list the top 10 orgasmic wine and food combinations in my book. And yeah, that's my opinion. It's just a suggestion. It's not gospel on that, but yeah, there are some really good ones. But no, I don't care if you want to have anything. Chardonnay with peanut butter and jelly, fine with me. I'm going to tell you what happens when you do certain things, so then you can make up your mind of what you want to do. That's the progressive approach. All about you. You. You're the focus. Whatever you do is the key thing, while the traditional approach is the experts telling you what to do. And what's good or bad. That's the main thing. Is that fair? Good? All right. Well, thanks very much. That's a kind of summation of the traditional and progressive approach. And Carol, as always, a pleasure. Let's toast. Can we drink at the same time? This could be a thrill right here, because with the microphone. Here we go. You. Mm-hmm. Success! Oh, did you hear that little dink right there? Well, there was none. These are plastic glasses. Yeah, plastic, not glass. And you still drank it out of a plastic glass. Heaven forbid if your friend saw you. Anyway, thanks very much. See you next time.